The world is paying for the war in Ukraine. Why does Russia have more and more money, despite the sanctions? Hello friends! Now I will tell you why this happens. When the US and allies passed a series of sanctions against Russia, President Joe Biden said they wanted to strike a powerful blow to the military machine of the Russian Federation. Nevertheless, the war in Ukraine has been going on for almost 100 days, and this machine is still in motion. Russia runs it with a flow of cash. This year, on average, $800 million enter the Russian Federation per day. And that's just from oil and gas sales. Bloomberg analyzed why the Russian economy is still afloat. Forbes chose the main facts. For years, Russia has been and continues to be a commodity supermarket that has everything the world needs, not only energy, but also wheat, aluminum, and palladium. The sanctions have hit Russia hard. The corporate giants have fled the country, and the economy is heading into a deep recession. For now, however, Putin is able to ignore the blow, thanks to his treasury brimming with commodity revenues. And these revenues are getting bigger because of spikes in world prices for these goods, in part because of the war in Ukraine. Even though some countries are refusing to buy energy from Russia or reducing such purchases, Russia's oil and gas revenue will reach about $285 billion this year. This is more than 20% higher than in 2021. Throw in other commodities, and Russia will compensate for the $300 billion frozen in foreign reserves under the sanctions. EU leaders know they must stop buying from Russia and indirectly funding the war at the gates of Europe. But despite the ambitious intentions, national governments know that such actions will have consequences for their economies. The United States has already imposed an embargo on Russian oil, but Europe is only taking small steps to get rid of this dependence. According to the International Energy Agency, revenue from oil exports alone is up 50% from last year. Moscow-based firm CIB Investment Research estimates that in the first quarter of this year, Russia's leading oil producers earned their biggest total revenue in 10 years. Wheat exports continue, and even at higher prices, because sanctions against Russian agriculture are not even discussed because of the global demand for grain. Russia's current account surplus more than tripled in the first 4 months of the year to nearly $96 billion. This figure is the highest since at least 1994. It mainly reflects the skyrocketing commodity prices, although the sharp decline in imports due to international sanctions has also played a role. One of the biggest shortcomings in imposing sanctions on Russia is the willingness of other states to continue buying oil from the country. Some even managed to get discounts. Indian refiners bought more than 40 million barrels of Russian oil between the start of the war in Ukraine and early May. That's 20% more than Russia's total oil exports to India in 2021, according to Bloomberg's calculations based on Commerce Department data. Refiners make personal deals rather than bidding, which is how they manage to buy Russian oil for less than market value. China is also strengthening energy ties with Russia by getting discounts on oil that no one wants to buy anywhere. Chinese imports of Russian oil have already risen, but Beijing also wants to replenish its strategic crude oil reserves with Russian black gold. A similar story with the import of steel and coking coal. According to official customs data, import purchases from Russia for the third month, as of April, have doubled compared to last year's levels. And some sellers of Russian oil and coal are trying to make it even easier for China to buy by offering payment in yuan. When it comes to gas, Russia has fewer options for changing buyers. But the countries at the other end of the gas pipelines, some of them pass through Ukraine, are as dependent on Russia as it is on them. About 40% of EU gas needs are met by Russia, and it is from this needle that the Union will find it most difficult to get off. Delivery of gas to Europe even rose in February and March when the invasion sent prices skyrocketing at European gas hubs. This price hike made it cheaper for some customers with long-term contracts to buy gas from Gazprom. According to media reports, although slowly, the number of bans and restrictions will only grow. The pressure on the Russian economy and finances will eventually bring about the desired result, although it is not known exactly when this will happen. Well, that's all for now. See you in the next video.